Okay, and we're talking about lines and equations in different forms. There's three types of forms. Okay, we've already talked about slope-intercept form. That's the biggie. Okay, y equals mx plus b. Two more forms we have left is standard form and point-slope form. They're probably the hardest, well, not the hardest, but a little bit more trickier than slope-intercept form. Standard form is when you have it's actually written like this. Write this down. It's actually written like this. Now, the main thing that you need to recognize is that, you know how slope-intercept form, we had y equals mx plus b. Okay? For standard form, the main difference is we have x and y on the same side. That is the main thing that you need to be focusing on, is x and y are on the same side. Now the value c, that's just whatever value you have left over there. Okay? All right? So, also, the main thing about this is there cannot, put a little star, and there can be no fractions. Okay? No fractions. That's a biggie. No fractions. If there is fractions, we need you're going to have to change them to whole numbers or integers, okay? Which I will show you how to do. All right. So standard form, main things you need to be looking at is x and y on the same side, okay? There can be no fractions. All right. Lastly, the value a has to be positive. Okay, the value a has to be positive. Bless you.
Are you recording the voice right now?
Yes.
Oh,
okay, so value a has to be positive. Has to be. So, let's say we have an equation like, I don't know, 2x plus 1y is equal to 4.
it has to be positive.
Okay, according to our criteria, in standard form, your a has to be positive. Okay, right now you can see that it's not. To change that to positive, you need to multiply both sides times -1. If your a is positive, to change it to a negative, you need to multiply both sides times -1. Okay? Now, make sure when you do this, you are multiplying not just -2y, but not just -2x, but also 1y. Okay? You're distributing. So, if I did that, that's -1 times a -2x gives me a positive 2x. -1 times a 1y gives me a -y. And then 4 times a -1 gives me a -4. Now, is our a positive? Yes. Let's get to it. Yes. Our a is positive. So now we're in standard form. Now we're good. Is there any fractions? No. Now, it does not matter if y is negative or if your c value is negative. That does not matter. Only thing you need to check if it's positive or negative is a.
Why does the A have to be closed? This is how it is?
That's just how it is. Just the name of the game. Okay? So, if we had a negative 3x plus 4y is equal to 8.
Like, is that all you have to do to it? Is to get the A positive?
Yeah, to get that A positive, like here's another example. I have a negative 3x. That is a negative number. It needs to be positive. So you need to multiply both sides times negative 1. Now, if you just really think about this, okay, if you're multiplying both sides times negative 1, the easiest thing to do, a really kind of shortcut way, is you're pretty much just going to flip each sign. Okay, so if you want to do it like that, that's fine. Okay, I mean that's essentially what you're doing anyway. So just flip each sign. That's all you have to do. Okay. Yes, Zach.
Do you always multiply?
But he said there wasn't a fraction.
There is no fraction. That's correct. But sometimes these little things, they like to give you these weird fractions stuff. So, let's say if we have a 2 over 5x plus 1y is equal to 4, okay? If we have this, and we want this to be in standard form, okay, we need to get rid of the fraction. Now, the easiest way to do this is multiply whatever your denominator is. Okay, so in this case, it's 2 over 5. So you need to multiply both sides, key word is both, by 5. Okay? You need to be multiplying both sides times 5. Zach, pay attention. Okay? Multiply both sides times 5. You have to get rid of the fraction. So when you distribute that, that's just going to leave you with the 2x. All that's going to do is get rid of that 5. Okay? Now, 5 times a 1y gives me a 5y. And then 4 times 5 gives me a 20. Okay, let's do one more. All right. So in this case, I got a 1 over 8x minus 2y is equal to 3. This needs to be in standard form. So we need to multiply both sides times what? 8. Perfect. Okay. And make sure you're not just multiplying times a fraction. You need to distribute it. Okay. It needs to be 8 times a 1/8x minus 8 times a 2y, okay? Yeah. So for this, I'm going to distribute this. All this is going to do is get rid of the denominator. It's going to kill the fraction. So all I have left is your numerator, or 1x. Now you could write 1 in front of that. That's fine. You don't have to. It's up to you, okay? Then you need to distribute 8 times a negative 2y. That's going to give me a negative 16y. And then 8 times 3 is going to give me 24. So am I in standard form? Yes. Okay. Now, let's say we have a number like this. Let's say we have a negative 3 over 4x minus 2y is equal to a negative 4. Okay. First of all, there's two things wrong with this standard form. First of all, a is negative. Okay, so we need to get rid of that. Also, there we have a fraction. We need to get rid of that also. Yes, good idea, Cameron. You can multiply. The shortcut way is just go ahead and multiply times a negative 4. Because, first of all, I'm getting rid of the negative, and then I'm also getting rid of the fraction, so I'm kind of knocking out 2 birds with 1 stone.
2 birds with 1 stone.
It's-
You never heard that expression?
Stone.
Like on Full Metal Jacket and I'd be going by with.
You never heard that expression?
I have.
I watched that.
I have.
Thank you, guys. Okay.
That's a deer one. That was
Okay, so yes. So this is gonna, first of all,
I love the way you lie.
this is gonna change my signs. So negative 4 times this negative 4, negative 3 over 4x, when you distribute that, all you're going to have left is a positive 3x. That's it. Okay? When you distribute the negative 4 times the negative 2y, it's going to give me a positive 8y. When I distribute this side or multiply that out, it's going to give me a positive 16. So you can do that. You can go ahead and multiply it. You can just do that with one step. Multiply it times the negative number and the number that you're trying to get rid of the fraction with. That's okay. You can do that. Perfectly fine. Also, let's do one more.
If both of the numbers that are in the parentheses, if they was both fractions, then what would you do?
Decimals, they need to be the whole numbers. Okay, you need to change them into whole numbers. So, on your calculator, you can always hit, if you get a decimal, you can always hit math, fraction, enter. Okay, to get rid of that fraction. Or to get rid of that decimal, I'm sorry. Okay. Now, let's say we have a 3x minus 18y minus equals 4. So, is my a positive?
You get decimal and fraction.
Huh?
So if you have a decimal and fraction, that would work.
Well, you would have to get rid of those. Yeah, each one at a time. So, yes, my A is positive, so I'm good to go. Any fractions? Is there any fractions? Yes, does that matter though? Yes, it does. There can be no fractions in the whole equation. Dakota. Brenton. Yes. Pay attention. Okay. Yes, I still have to get rid of that fraction. It does not matter if it's not in A or if it's not with X. If you see any fraction, you still have to get rid of it. So, to get rid of this fraction, we need to multiply both sides times 8. Okay? 8 times the 3x is going to give me a what? Good. If you distribute the 8 times the 1/8, okay, all that's just going to leave is a 1y. So I'm just going to write it as y. 8 times 4 gives me what?
32.
Yes, 32. So now we are in standard form.
Is it plus 1y or is it take away?
Okay, also, now that we know what standard form is, we have an idea, okay? We know that A has to be positive. We know that there cannot be any fractions, so we're good. Let's say if we have an equation let's say we have this equation written in, what form is this first of all? Y equals 2x plus 15.
No, it's not.
That is slope-intercept form, okay?
Kill them. That's what I think.
Okay? Anyways. Yes, that is slope-intercept form, okay? If I want you to change this into standard form, first of all, remember that x and y have to be on the same side. So this is a positive 2x. To get it to the other side, I'm going to minus 2x from both sides. Okay? That's going to leave me with a negative 2x, all right, plus y. And now I have left, what do I have left over here on the other side? 15. Good. Okay? Now, am I in standard form?
Wait, wouldn't it be minus 1?
Yeah.
So am I in standard form?
No.
Why? Good job, Corbin. Yes, that is a negative 2. So to get rid of it, multiply both sides times that negative 1. Okay? So that's going to give me a positive 2x. It's going to give me a minus y. It's going to give me a negative 15. Okay? Is that make sense? Let's say if we had an equation like this. Let's say if we have this equation, 3y is equal to 4 over 5x minus 10. And I want this to be in standard form. Now, am I gonna divide both sides by 3 first? No. You're keeping that the same. Okay? You're not messing with that. All you're gonna do is get your x and y on the same side. Shh, guys. Okay? All you're doing is getting x and y on the same side. So this is a positive 4 over 5x. I'm gonna minus both sides by 4 over 5x. I'm not going to multiply times 5 or divide by 5, but I'm not going to do that. Okay? So that's going to cancel. All right? So I have a negative 4 over 5x plus 3y. All I have left on the right side is what? Negative 10. Okay. What's wrong with this?
It's a negative and it's a.
It's a negative and it's a fraction. Good job, Carson and then Dalton. Good job. Okay, it's a negative and a fraction.
Yeah, you made a bigger problem than what it was at the beginning. Why didn't you just leave it as it is?
What's your? Hey, yes. I have a negative 4 over 5x plus 3y. So first of all, I need to get rid of the negative and I need to get rid of the fraction. Let's knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. Or, like Harley said, get rid of 2 deer with 1 shot or something. Is that what you did?
He says he did.
No. Anyways, okay, so I'm going to multiply. Whoa. Gosh almighty. I'm going to multiply both sides times negative 5. Okay? Shh. Guys up front. TJ, bud. Okay? So if you work that out, distribute that, it's going to leave you with the 4x. Distribute that, that's going to give you a negative 15y. That's going to give you a positive 50. Okay?